Yo, what up? What up? How y'all doing? How are y'all doing out there? How y'all feeling? We got another one for you guys here today, man. We got some breaking news coming out of ESPN that I want to get into. But before we get into it, let's make sure everybody taps into the live. And then we're going to get into this story here. So, Shannon Sharpe, your man Shannon Sharpe, has officially been replaced by ESPN. So, let me just get this article ready for y'all before y'all come through the door. And then we're going to get it going. Peace and love. Peace and love. Tap in. Tap in. Before we get it going. Let me see. Tap in. And then we're going to get it going. Okay. Perfect. Okay. Okay. So let me get into this story here. I'm going to give it another 30 seconds and we're going to wait for people to catch up to the live. And then we're going to get it going. Let me make sure I shared it on Instagram. And I think we should be good. What up, Blazer? What's good? What's good? Let's give it like another 20 seconds, 30 seconds, and we're going to get into the live. This should be pretty good here. Okay. Give me 1 second, y'all. Let me make sure I did this correct. What's good? What's good? Just a second, y'all. Let me check this. Okay. All right. So let's get into this story here, man. Let's get into this story here. So apparently, as y'all know, Shannon Sharpe recently got fired from ESPN. Okay. He recently got fired from ESPN, and we didn't really spend too much time talking about who his replacement would be. I think we spent most of the time talking about some of the mistakes that Shannon Sharpe made. But one person that we used to see on ESPN, even when Shannon Sharpe was there, was Cam Newton. Now, funny enough, I was just watching an interview from Cam Newton just, I believe, yesterday, or day before yesterday, when he was interviewing Joy Taylor. Talking about their career, talking about what it was like to work with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe and all of that. So I then opened up my phone not too long ago. To my surprise, I see a post here from Yahoo Sports that says Cam Newton, as y'all can see here, Cam Newton, ESPN and Cam Newton have reached a new multi-year agreement that will expand his role on First Take. Let me read a little bit more. It says Newton began appearing regularly during football season last October and will return Thursday during live NFL not live show at Norfolk State University as a part of First Take HBCU tour. So you got that part. We got another article here from Front Office Sports that's also reporting on this, and they actually use Shannon Sharpe. So they're saying here on Front Office Sports, Cam Newton to expand his ESPN First Take role after Shannon Sharpe's exit. It says the former MVP quarterback is expanding his role on ESPN's daily morning debate show hosted by Molly Karam and Stephen A. Smith. Sources told Front Office Sports Newton began appearing regularly on Fridays during football season last October. Now he has signed a multi-year deal, and the network expects to have him on more than once a week. If you guys remember, Shannon used to be on there 2 days a week, if I'm not mistaken, which was on Monday and Tuesdays. And then on Wednesdays, they used to have Chris Mad Dog Russo come in. It also says the situation will be fluid as Newton has other responsibilities, including his fourth and first podcast with Blue Wire and 106 in Park on BET. Okay, I didn't know 106 in Park was still on TV. An ESPN spokesperson declined to comment when asked about Newton's new role. It then continues on. In another article that we're getting from ESPN Press Room, which I want to share in the comments section below here for you guys to read that. Yeah, I didn't even know 106 in Park was still on TV. Somebody said 106 in Park is back. I didn't even know it was on TV to begin with. So this one says ESPN and Cam Newton agreed to new multi-year deal. They even have the thumbnail here. It says ESPN has reached a new multi-year contract agreement with former NFL MVP Cam Newton. It says it will expand his role on First Take, ESPN's signature morning debate show. Newton will bring his unique perspective to the show's dynamic discussion. It also says Newton joins a roster of prominent personalities on First Take, including Stephen A. Smith, host Molly Karam, and Sirius XM's Chris Mad Dog Russo. Cam Newton is a unique talent who is authentically himself, and that's a key ingredient for success on First Take, said David Roberts, executive vice president slash executive editor, sports news and entertainment at ESPN. Cam is also an ultimate team player, as all of us at ESPN look forward to watching Cam create a strong connection with his teammates and our fans. I am excited to be back with the First Take team and share my voice on all things sports, Newton said. This is an incredible opportunity for me to connect with fans and bring my passion and knowledge to a show I've always admired. And then it says First Take airs at noon. So, folks, Cam Newton is the official replacement to Shannon Sharpe on First Take, the official one. Now, what are my initial thoughts about this? First of all, it made sense for ESPN to go after an NFL guy because they already had an NBA guy, so to speak, in Kendrick Perkins. In some cases, we'll see Jay Williams pop up. And then plus Stephen A. Smith is an NBA guy himself. So going out there and getting another NBA player, I don't see how that would have really moved the needle unless that's the direction that they wanted to go in. Number two, and the NFL is the bigger sport, right? It's more popular than the NBA in the United States. And given the fact that NFL season is about to start, is pretty much around the corner, there's no surprise to them deciding to pull the lever and getting a guy for the NFL. In terms of Shannon Sharpe versus Cam Newton, I'm more familiar with Shannon Sharpe's content, given the fact that I used to watch him a lot on Undisputed and also on First Take. Obviously, Shannon Sharpe is the bigger personality. Shannon Sharpe had a lot of things going for him in terms of his humor. He was quite funny, naturally funny. He was naturally likable. He had a lot of quotable lines. So that made him unique. I don't really necessarily view Cam as somebody that can be humorous, although he can be funny at times. I think Cam generally tends to analyze sports with a more critical, thoughtful perspective. He's not really trying to make you laugh. He's really, in my opinion, trying to make you think from time to time. So that's how I view Cam. Also, he seems to have a good rapport with Stephen A. Smith, which is the most important thing, because Stephen A. Smith already made it clear there's no way in hell you're going to make it on ESPN First Take if he doesn't give you his blessings, right? Somebody says, so ESPN going to go for the fumble. Appreciate the comment there. So for me, man, I think obviously is a good opportunity for Cam. Obviously, he earned it. And I think that the only way to get on ESPN these days, if you're an athlete, you got to have a successful podcast. I don't think the days of, oh, I used to play in the NBA, oh, I used to play in the NFL, that's going to work. Now these networks are looking for people that already have audience. So if you don't have an audience, it means you're not necessarily bringing anything to the table beyond your name. And if you're not somebody that's playing currently, chances are you're not going to be as relevant. So Cam coming in there with a successful podcast definitely helped this. There's no mistake. It's not a coincidence that they went after somebody that already has a great podcast. If you look at another NBA guy that they had on ESPN, Gilbert Arenas. Gilbert Arenas has Gil's Arena, which is the biggest NBA podcast out there. So it's clear what ESPN is looking for. You got to have a podcast. You have to have a following already. And then obviously you have to mesh with what they got going on over there. Right? So to me, I think that although this is a great win for Cam Newton, it is one of the biggest fumbles that I have ever seen in sports media by a person in Shannon Sharpe. I mean, if we think about where Shannon was 2 years ago and the trajectory that he was on 2 years ago to now, the trajectory that he's on right now, it's almost like incredible to witness the decline because he's still Shannon Sharpe. He still has a very popular show. Nightcap does well. Club Shay Shay does well, but it is nowhere near the level it was before. And Shannon Sharpe appearing on First Take 2 days a week was contributing to the growth of his podcast. And now, when you take him off of a major platform like that, Shannon is no longer on linear. And for whatever reason, people tend to view people on TV in a much greater light than they do if you're not on TV. It's only a few people that were not on TV that made it on TV and they were already big, like Pat McAfee. But Shannon Sharpe was coming from Undisputed. Then he did his podcast and then he went to ESPN. So for Shannon to essentially lose his spot, because although Cam, they used to bring on Cam periodically to First Take, when Shannon was there was no need for an NFL guy. He was already the guy. So now they essentially replacing him. For the new people that are coming in, we got a breaking news to report for you guys here from Yahoo Sports. It says breaking: ESPN and Cam Newton have reached a new multi-year agreement that will expand his role on First Take. And then we got some articles that I want to read from. We got one from Front Office Sports. Let me pin that in the comments for you guys there. So this one is from Front Office Sports. It just essentially says that Cam Newton to expand ESPN First Take role after Shannon Sharpe exit. It then continues on. The former MVP quarterback is expanding his role on ESPN's daily morning debate show hosted by Molly Qerim and Stephen A. Smith. Sources told Front Office Sports. It says Newton began appearing on regularly on Fridays during football season last October. Now he has signed a multi-year deal, and the network expects to have him on more than once a week. We got another article that's being released here from ESPN Press Room that I want to pin in the comments below. And in this article is saying ESPN has reached a multi-year deal, which we just discussed here. It says Newton joins a roster of prominent personalities on First Take, including Stephen A. Smith, Molly Qerim, and Chris Mad Dog Russo. It says Cam Newton is a unique talent who is authentically himself, and that's a key ingredient for success on First Take, said David Roberts, Executive Vice President / Executive Editor, Sports News and Entertainment at ESPN. Cam is also an ultimate team player. All of us at ESPN look forward to watching Cam create a strong connection with his teammates and our fans. I am excited to be back with the First Take team and share my voice on all things sports. Newton said, "This is an incredible opportunity for me to connect with fans and bring my passion and knowledge to a show I've always admired." So that's Cam Newton himself. So they essentially replaced Shannon Sharpe. By the way, guys, if you guys are not a part of our membership, make sure you sign up to our membership. We got that pinned to the top below there. You get exclusive content, ad-free content, so you ain't got to deal with ads and none of that on YouTube. So make sure you guys sign up to that. We got that pinned at the top of the chat there. Somebody said, okay, well, I'm not watching Cam. I'm done. Now, that's interesting because it seems like some people are not a fan of Cam. I don't know why. I don't watch enough. The most I know about Cam right now, beyond his football career, is the back and forth he was having with Gilly the Kid. I know him and Gilly the Kid were having this back and forth recently. Gilly was going at him, Cam was going at him. They were talking about who had the bigger podcast and all of that. That's all I know, right? I didn't really pay too much close attention to that. He says Cam ain't Shannon Sharpe. Well, Shannon Sharpe is very unique, man. Nobody's Shannon Sharpe. It's one of the reasons why he was in the position that he was. And it's one of the reasons why so many people were pissed off at him for being so stupid, for putting himself in a situation that he found himself in. Somebody said Whitlock. Yeah, Whitlock is not going back to ESPN. The stuff Cam says be puzzling me from time to time. Again, I don't watch a lot of football segments. And I'm sure Cam must have weighed in a lot on football topics on ESPN. I don't watch football segments on ESPN, so I don't really know some of the stuff that Cam says about football. Somebody said, so he's finally given up on returning the football. Cam. Fact, Shannon Sharpe messed up the bag. He messed up the bag big time. Big time. Because Shannon was in line to re-up with $100 million contract with the volume. $100 million for his Shea Media, which has Club 520 podcast and all. That's what he was in line for. He went from gearing up to sign $100 million deal to being sued for $50 million to having to settle out of court and then getting fired from ESPN, all within a span of 1 year. So his mistake became somebody else's opportunity. That's essentially what happened. That's essentially what happened. Cam smiling so he can keep supporting his 8 kids. I don't know if that's true. If Cam has 8 kids, I don't even know if that's true. So I've heard. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how many kids he has. Man, Shannon Sharpe better link back up with Skip. I just think that Shannon. I think Shannon's going to survive not being on digital. Skip, not so much. But some people are just made for being on TV, man. I think Skip Bayless is one of them. So if Shannon Sharpe maybe if Shannon got back with Skip, maybe that would create a buzz of some sort. But yo, Shannon blew up. He messed up his opportunity, man. He messed up his Shannon. If you look at Shannon Sharpe when he first got on Undisputed, he was so humble. Oh, he was so humble. By the time he left Undisputed and did Club Shay, it was like 2 different people. It was like 2 different people. Shout out to Brian Chesson in the comments. 2 different people. The money got to him. When you start bragging about the money you're making on the internet, your head has gotten big. If you thought I made $500,000, it's more than that. If you thought I made $1 million, it's more than that. If you thought I made $2 million, it's double it. This what happens. And sometimes you got to get humble, bro. Cam is not good at articulating himself on TV. I don't watch much of Cam, so I don't know. All I'm just reporting the news. I guess we'll see, right? I generally don't pay attention to ESPN's NFL segments. So if Cam is going to be talking about NFL, I'm most likely not going to be interested because I don't watch football like that. If it's basketball, then I'll get a sense to understand what you're talking about in terms of Cam. Money don't change you. It only highlights who you already are. Appreciate the comment there. Man, Shannon Sharpe fell hard. Yes, he did. Shannon Sharpe was wilding. He was doing that Undisputed. He was quiet and reserved. Yeah, but then he started hanging out with Stephen A. Smith, and that arrogant energy rubbed off on him. And then all of a sudden, he started hanging out with that dude, and then all of a sudden, he started acting like him. That's what happened. He started hanging out with Stephen A. Smith, and then he started acting like him. The arrogance rubbed off on him. Now, Stephen A. Smith can kind of get away with it because it's part of his thing. Stephen A. Smith is known to be arrogant, so that kind of works for him. In the case of Shannon, we know him as somebody that's funny, lighthearted. So to see him switch up, and then you went from being humble on Undisputed to now chastising your partner in Chad Johnson for being late. And little did we know that you was about to pull off the ultimate. You're pissed off at him for being late. Meanwhile, you about to blow up the entire bag for everybody. So Shannon started feeling himself a lot. To have that back and forth that he had with Chad on live, I thought was crazy. That's something you have off air. You don't go have a moment like that on, but this is what happens when you're feeling yourself. And what happens is you get to the point where you feel untouchable. And when you feel untouchable, things like this happen. Because truth be told, this role should have been for Shannon. Truth be told, Shannon Sharpe should probably have his own show on ESPN First Take, on ESPN right now. Truth be told. You remember the talks of, Stephen A. Smith possibly going to late night and then Shannon Sharpe potentially replace. All of those opportunities are gone now. All of those opportunities are gone now. They're all gone. So this is why you got to stay humble when you get very very successful. So anyway, guys, that's the news here. He said, what's going on? I just joined the live. So basically, before I get up out of here, Cam Newton is replacing Shannon Sharpe on First Take. It says ESPN and Cam Newton have reached a new multi-year agreement and will expand his role on First Take. So he's the guy that's going to be replacing Skip Bayless on there. It's no longer going to be Shannon Sharpe. Shannon Sharpe. And now the question is, do y'all think Shannon Sharpe is going to come back to TV? Let me ask the audience a question. Do you think Shannon will be back on TV? Let me see what y'all think. Let me know in the poll. Vote on this poll. Let me see. What do y'all think? Do y'all think Shannon Sharpe is going to be back on TV in the future? Damn, somebody said no. 70%. Let me see. Let me see the poll. 60-40. Okay. It's getting 50-50. So people think that basically half of y'all think that Shannon Sharpe will be back on TV. 54% of y'all think this Shannon Sharpe will be back. Okay, I want to see some votes. Let's get it to 100 votes. Let me see what y'all think about this. Do you think Shannon Sharpe will be back on TV? Because if he's going to be back on TV, the question is where? Unless he's picked up by one of these streaming platforms. That could happen. Because Amazon and all of these guys are getting into streaming. That's a possibility. So it could potentially happen. TV, I don't think so. Because what network is he going to go to? He was at Fox. They let go of him there. He was at ESPN. He got fired from ESPN. I think the network he was with before was what? Was it CBS or PBS? What network was he with before? I forgot the network. He was there, and then he had another issue there that he had. So if he's going to be back on TV, where? And is it going to be anywhere that's going to be relevant? Somebody said Prime or Peacock. It's possible. I think Shannon could probably end up on one of the streaming platforms. That's because regardless of all of the mistakes that he's made, what we cannot deny is that he's actually very good. You see, that's the thing. The guy is actually very good. He's actually very funny. He has a magnetic personality. So I wouldn't put it past one of these streaming platforms to come after him. I wouldn't put it past them. Also, guys, make sure you join our membership. We got that pinned to the top for exclusive content and ad-free content. Make sure you guys join the top there. CBS Sports. Okay, CBS Sports. Maybe CBS News. They do football. They saw the Gilly situation as an audition, huh? They saw the Gilly. Okay, what do you mean by that? You ain't got to send another super chat. Just expand on that thought. You said they saw the Gilly situation as an audition, huh? What do you mean by that? I think you could be getting at something there. I'm interested to see what you got to say about that. Shannon Can, Michelle, Instagram banned. OnlyFans girl retired and scammed. Shaking my head, Cam and I actually thought you were saying something. I didn't know you was trying to rhyme. He said, the Cam and Gilly kid back and forth was pretty. Okay. So you're saying Cam was able to create a lot of emotion for himself with that back and forth. So they took notice of that. Probably. I don't know. I also think it has to do with the fact that Cam already has his own platform. And given the fact that he's built a successful platform, I think that helps. And I think what's also going to happen is I expect Cam's platform to continue to grow now that he's going to be on ESPN. Right? Yo, do y'all remember at one point they were marketing Shannon Sharpe's podcast live on ESPN and on the bottom ticker? Live. Shannon went from marketing a tequila or some type of rum or whatever it was. Have you heard anything about that rum recently? That tequila? Or was it Laportier or whatever? Have y'all heard anything about that recently? You remember how Laportier always used to be sold out? You remember how the merchandise used to be sold out? Well, a lot of that has to do with being on TV. And when you're that visible, you attract sponsors. Shout out to Too Raw for TV in the comments. Why do you think Shaq is still on Inside the NBA? You think Shaq is on Inside the NBA because of the salary? Shaq is on Inside the NBA because of the visibility it gives him for the brands that sponsor him. That's why he's on Inside the NBA. So he's always current. So for a brand to sponsor Shaq, of course they want to sponsor somebody that's always on TV, and he doesn't have any controversy. He has no smut on his name. Shout out to Too Raw for TV in the comment in the chat. Shout out to him. So that's why it worked. But now that Shannon Sharpe is no longer on ESPN and being associated with a brand like that, well, a lot of these sponsors, they're like, well, bro, you don't have the same pull that you used to. And then you couple in the fact that his situation has to do with some unsavory details with the OnlyFans model. They ran for the hills. What sponsor wants to be associated with that? If it is you, would you want to be associated with that? So Shannon blew it. Shannon, I think, was talking about, I forgot what he was talking about, what show he was talking about, where it was the video of the Michelle, the leaked when he mistakenly went on Instagram Live, where Shannon Sharpe said, do you think I would willingly jeopardize potentially $250 million? Bro, they were trying to catch Joe Rogan. I think Joe Rogan's current Spotify deal, I think it's for what, 200 million? Let me see. Joe Rogan Spotify deal. I know the first one was for 100 million. He is currently on a non-exclusive deal worth up to $250 million. Joe Rogan is on a $250 million contract. The first one he was on was for 100 million. So Shannon and these guys were looking at Joe Rogan, and they were trying to position themselves and essentially mimic what he's doing to go get a $250 million bag. They were getting ready to offer him 100 million. So if he were to land $100 million deal, hey guys, let's try to get these likes up to 150 likes. If he were to get that $150 million deal, chances are, if he performed well during the duration of that contract, he could have re-upped for 200 million. I don't think people realize the amount of money that Shannon just blew. I don't think people realize this. The amount of money that he just blew and talking about future earnings is crazy. Over the next 10 years, Shannon would have probably made $300 million. Worst case scenario, 250. No, 300. 300. You better book it, because he was just getting ready. Where's the article? Shannon Sharpe. Let me pull it up for y'all. Shannon Sharpe, $100 million deal. It says Shannon Sharpe, given the size of Club Shay Shay Enterprise, okay, Sharpe was expected to settle on a deal exceeding $100 million. Let me read the article for y'all. This is from Front Office Sport. People don't understand what that guy did. This is the article from Front Office Sports. Let me read it to you guys. Shannon Sharpe eyes $100 million plus deal as volume contract expires. Shannon Sharpe's media deal with Colin Cowherd, the Vine Podcast Network, is up. Sources tell Front Office Sports the Pro Football Hall of Famer has received multiple offers and is expected to sign a deal that would exceed $100 million. This article was published in April 2025. 2025. They were bidding on this guy for $100 million. He went from being in line to sign $100 million deal. That's when that accuser, whatever her damn name was, I don't remember the OnlyFans model's name, initially in the filings, they had offered her $10 million to go the hell away, to disappear. So what she said was, what they said was, I think Shannon's lawyer, they rejected the 10 million. Why did they reject the 10 million? Do you know why? Because Mr. I got my Rolex on my arm every day. I got my diamonds glistening every day. Oh, you thought I made 2 million? You thought I made 4 million? You thought I made 5 million? You remember that dumb shit? This is what happens when you dudes be bragging about the money you make. You turning yourself into a lick for some of these girls. So you on there bragging, oh man, you know, how much money you think I made? Was it 2 million? Was it 4? Well, she know you got more than 10. If you made $5 million on one episode of Cat Williams, so why the hell would she settle for 10? So he was getting ready to sign 100 million. The news came out. They were like 100 million. We want 50. Where do you think the 50 came from? The 50 came from the 100 that they heard that was coming. So they said he had to settle for like 20. So I spoke to somebody that also has a multi-million-dollar contract in media with what do you call it? With one of these sports books. I said, do you think Shannon paid the 23 million? He said, you crazy. I said, what you mean? I said, you mean to tell me that he didn't pay them the 20 million straight? He said, you think he got 20 million cash to pay out? He said, hell no. They probably put him on a payment plan to pay that off in like maybe 5 years or 10 years. You think he got 20 million liquid? So I was like, oh, that means he didn't pay him in full. He goes, no. So Shannon went from being, and then he lost his salary at ESPN. So the guy over the next 10 years could have made easily $200+ million. And now that opportunity has gone to Cam Newton. And do you know what? When opportunity meets preparation, Cam Newton deserves it. He deserves it. Do you know why? Because he didn't get himself involved in no nonsense. He was doing his show. Yeah, he may have had his back and forth with various people like Gilly the Kid and all of that, but mainly that's just internet back and forth, entertainment back and forth. There ain't no real beef involved in that. He built himself out a successful platform, and now he's reaping the rewards of his benefit, the benefits of whatever the rewards. That's what happened. That's what happened. So when Bush stood up, Obama sat down. When Obama stood up, Trump sat down. What does that mean? When you give up your seat, somebody else will sit in it. When Bush stood up, Obama sat down. When Obama stood up, Trump sat down. That's what happens, folks. So when you have a very, very good thing, you don't screw it up. So people saying Cam ain't funny or Cam ain't this, Cam ain't that, Cam ain't this, whatever. Cam is a man that is prepared to capitalize on that opportunity. Shout out to him. And I don't even watch Cam like that, but shout out to him for keeping his ducks in a row. You know? So shout out to Cam. Congratulations to him. And the Shannon situation should be a lesson to all of us. When you make some money, don't turn yourself into a damn show off. Don't get arrogant. Don't get arrogant. Don't show up your co-host on live air because he was late. Don't try to embarrass him. Don't get too big for your bridges. This is a lesson in all of that for everybody. A lesson in what not to do when you get the bag. So now in the next year or two, it's not even gonna be relevant. We're gonna move on to somebody else. So these are my thoughts on it, man. Appreciate you guys for being a part of the live. We got other content dropping a little bit later today, but appreciate you guys for tapping in, man. Showing love. Also, make sure you sign up to our membership. We got that pinned to the top for exclusive content with no ads. Make sure y'all sign up to that, man. Appreciate you guys for being a part of the live, and we definitely so Shannon could have made a move on Larsa or Joy Taylor, and he would be okay compared to a 19-year-old teenage or young women. Hey man, to each his own, bro. To each his own. I don't care about what he was doing in terms the crazy part about it was how he was moving. It was almost like as if he didn't know he was Shannon Sharpe. It's like he didn't even know who he was. It's like, bro, do you understand who you are for you to be moving like this? So that's the part that got a lot of us. It's like, yo, you forgot when you're at that level, you got to understand how to move. You got to understand how to move. I mean, it was crazy. They pulled up recordings of this guy. Recordings. What are y'all talking on the phone about? It's not your girlfriend, so what are y'all talking on the phone for? How are y'all on the phone long enough for her to record you? That's the part that blew my mind. Y'all on the phone talking and talking and talking. What? To the point where this girl can record you? Bro, you got to be kidding. So what's going to happen with the woman who was cracking on his clothes a while back? You know what? Shout out to LWAC Lawak 71. I hope I said that right. I was thinking about who was that woman that was making fun of Cam Newton's clothes? Who was that woman? Okay, Lone Wolf and Cub. Okay, appreciate that. Who was the woman? There was who was that lady that was going back making fun of Cam? Kimberly Martin. Kimberly Martin. Right. She was a contributor on the show. Right. I remember her. Yes. Kimberly Martin. Bro, if I'm Cam, I'm not even thinking about her, bro. I'm not even if I was Cam and I walked through the hallways of ESPN and I saw her, I would act like I didn't even see her. I would act like as if I didn't even see her. Like I would be so into what I'm doing, I wouldn't even care about whether or not she even exists or not. And I don't think Cam cares. I don't even think Cam cares. But anyway, appreciate you guys for being a part of the live, man. He said 50 million, 100 million. Who cares? Who cares? Shay's still up. Yes, he still is up, man. I'm sure Shannon Sharpe is doing very well. Anyway, appreciate you guys for being a part of the live, man. We're going to catch you on the next one, man. Thank y'all for being a part of this. Catch y'all later. Peace.